Mike?
That is Mike. I'll move these out of your way. We're gonna move this. Yeah.
Nick is going to be the one who's going to do the slides for you.
Oh, excellent.
So just let him know. He'll be over there whenever you're ready. He'll just let him know and he'll do his thing.
Too easy.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. Mic check. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you so much for coming this afternoon on a Sunday. Big special thanks to ICOI and our community. This is a very important topic. We have a very special guest, brave, heroic, Brother Anthony Aguilar over here. He's all the way from the East Coast. He's been gracious enough to give us some time to talk about his experience and inshallah, all the things that we can do over here and the experiences that he had while he was out in Gaza. So thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Again, really quickly, this is presented by the ICOI Civic Engagement Committee. We are a civic engagement committee here in ICOI, looking to get involved in community initiatives, the things that matter to our community, and make sure that we support each other. And inshallah, this is the first of many actions, so please stay tuned. But before we start, we're going to bring Brother Tahim really quick. He's going to, like a ninja, right behind me. But, and he's going to read the Fatiha, and inshallah, we'll continue with the back.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, most merciful. All praise is for Allah, Lord of all worlds, the most compassionate, most merciful, the Master of the Judgment Day. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, not those you are displeased with, or those who are astray.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, again, just a quick thanks to all the organizers, Sister Taiba, Karima, Amr, and all of the community for showing up. We're going to help to MC us tonight is Brother Muhammad Abdul Fattah. He is a esteemed physician, I was going to say it. And he's also a great doctor that ended up going to Gaza as well and doing some important work. So I'm going to hand it over to Muhammad. He's going to talk a little bit and also introduce and continue the event with Brother Anthony. Thank you. Give a round of applause, please.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Sounds pretty loud, but my name is Muhammad Abdul Fattah. It's so nice to see everyone. And again, thank you to ICOI, the Civic Engagement Committee, for organizing this important event. I first wanted to commend you all for coming out here and continuing to show up for Gaza. As we know, there's been a ceasefire And although there's a ceasefire, Israel has notoriously violated every ceasefire it's ever signed. They're still killing in Gaza, they're still killing in the West Bank, and so we have to continue showing up for the people of Palestine and Gaza. I just wanted to highlight the community efforts over the past 2.5 years during this genocide, because it was very impressive. You know, it was one of the most horrifying times of our lives, and the community didn't sit back. Early on, we saw our former congressional representative, the fake progressive, except for Palestine, Katie Porter, who refused to call for a ceasefire. In fact, she was encouraging the Israeli actions in Gaza early on. And this community held her accountable. They were showing up to her office, they were calling her office, there was rallies, there was press conferences, there were sit-ins, and eventually she called for a ceasefire. But it was very impressive to see the community organize. Additionally, there was Irvine City Council meetings that took place. We were pushing for a ceasefire resolution, and every meeting, the community was showing up, staying for late hours, giving very moving testimony, and just begging them to sign the ceasefire resolution. So again, extremely impressive. Additionally, every Sunday for 2 years, there was an Irvine rally for Palestine, led by Sister Fatana and others, every single Sunday during that afternoon. So that was so impressive. And so additionally, the UCI encampments, this community has been supportive. And again, so I wanted to give the community their flowers and tell you guys that it's important to continue the work. And not to take up more time, now we want to move to the sort of the highlight of the event. This is Brother Anthony Aguilar, and I'm just going to quickly read his bio. Anthony Aguilar served for 25 years in the U.S. Army and attained rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Special Forces as a Ranger Qualified Green Beret. In his time of service, he deployed 12 times to include Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Jordan, Mindanao, Cambodia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Vietnam. Since retiring, Anthony was hired as a security contractor to work at the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or GHF, sites in Gaza. After witnessing the sites used as a vessel for genocide, he resigned in protest from the contract and became a whistleblower. He holds a degree in history from the United States Military Academy at West Point, a master's degree in political science and conflict and security, and an MBA from the University of Texas, and will begin law school next fall. He has been awarded 6 Bronze Stars for combat service, to include the Bronze Star for Valor, for heroism in combat, and the Purple Heart from being wounded in combat in Mosul, Iraq. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And without further ado, Mr. Aguilar.
Thank you. I think it's appropriate first to start off with a round of applause for all of you for your civic action and the action of the community in demanding answers and demanding accountability from our lawmakers, because that is our duty as citizens, and that is the only way that we're going to make change. Our leaders of our nation right now do not have the integrity or the character to make the change that's necessary, and it is up to us. So I just, give yourselves a round of applause for your action. That's where it starts. When the Uber ride that I took here dropped me off a little while ago, I had him drop me off around the side just so I could have a minute to clear my head, and it's a beautiful day outside. And I could hear, I didn't know where it was coming from until we walked in here, and I could see daycare in the back room, but the voices that I heard of the children playing and laughing. And one day that will return to Gaza. I mean, there's nothing more important in our lifetimes than raising children and raising the next generation, and they deserve to live lives of peace and prosperity and safety, and I have faith in that. This map that you can see here, it's important to kind of give everyone a reference of the aspects of Gaza and to understand, because this will also shed light on what many of you have heard of the IDF's yellow line in the current state of affairs. I will not refer to it as a ceasefire because it is not. It is a facade. It is a trap. It is the United States acting in bad faith to continue the allowance and the murder. Palestinians aren't dying. They're being murdered. And that's a fact. So this product I had worked with early on with Al Jazeera and others that were interested in understanding, laying out, because no one else had been into Gaza. So Western reporters, no one could go in. There were reporters from Al Jazeera that were in Gaza, but nobody else could come in or out. So when there was an American there that was on the sites that could corroborate what was seen, not that it lends any more truth to what was seen, but that corroborate. So that picture on the top, that's site number 1, secure distribution site 1, which is in the far corner of Rafah. That on that day, that's the 26th of May, 2 days before this product was made, that is 34,000 starving Palestinians that showed up to distribution site 1. And you see in the background of it, in the foreground, just thousands of Palestinians, but in the foreground, you see the light poles. That's the Morag corridor that leads up to site 1. You see the hill. That's the berm embankment that surrounded the site. 34,000 starving human beings with only about 9,000 parcels of food available and no water, forcing them to have to endure a long, hard journey through landmines and war and combat, but to then also, while they were queuing to wait to get this food, being fired upon. And this is not something that I am making up. This is documented. This is what that looks like. I took that photo. This is what that looks like. So the blue dots you see, 1, 2, 3, and 4 were the 4, one further up north near Gate 96. Those were the 4 aid distribution points that were established under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. There were, imagine those blue dots, when the UN and UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for the Palestinian Refugees, there were 400 of those sites. 400. So why I think it's important to lay out the context of what was actually happening is to clear the notion that the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was providing humanitarian aid. That is not true. That they were doing it in a way that followed the obligatory principles of humanitarian assistance. Humanitarian assistance and humanitarian aid isn't just an idea or something that you just get involved in without experience. There are laws, there's obligations, there's requirements. Humanitarian assistance and humanitarian aid, regardless if it's the UN, the United States, Japan, Canada, it doesn't matter who's doing it, must follow 4 sacred obligatory principles. It must be independent. It must be neutral. It must be impartial, and it must address the need. When you have distribution that is given to a starving population on a quid pro quo basis, you behave, we'll give you food. Violates the principles of humanitarian aid. That it's being backed solely by one government with no others. Violation of humanitarian assistance. Or that it's done in a way that puts the population at risk and is not providing them with need. I don't care who you are or where you are on this planet, water is a necessity. Doesn't matter who you are. To provide no water violates the principles of humanitarian assistance. You're violating the need. And what I want to make clear is that I've talked to people all over the country is that this isn't my opinion. This isn't something that I just concocted in my head as a good idea. These are international laws. These are codified in the Geneva Conventions, which Israel is a signatory to. To think that Israel is not obliged to follow rules is not true. They are a signatory to the Geneva Convention, to the Fourth Protocol, as a matter of fact, 1952. Israel signed it. When you look at all these areas in red, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, call those evacuation areas. What all of that represents is the area that is absolutely under the occupational full control of the IDF, entirely. Furthermore, in all of that red area, where you see the imagery that's now coming out of Gaza, all of that area is leveled to the ground. There's not a thing that stands. In that area, 55 million tons of rubble that will take from now, if we started today, until 2025 to clear it. If every country got involved and we put a full force effort into cleanup, 2025. I'm sorry, what did I say?
25.
My numbers are flipped. It's been a long day. Sorry, 2050. 2050, 25 years is what I was thinking in my head. 2050. And that's not coming from someone that's trying to make it dramatic. I think by some that are trying to take the far further view, it's probably not going to be till maybe 2060 or later, just because in addition to the genocide, you also have an ecocide. The amount of bombs being dropped, the amount of pollutants being put into the soil. It's going to take forever to get this back to where it once was. The beautiful land of this area, where in north of Erez, in Ashkelon, which once was part of Greater Palestine, where they grew some of the most beautiful oranges in the world and sold them to the Europeans. That's the standard for which this land should return. Not what it is or what Israel dictates. Surely not putting Tony Blair in charge. Or Donald Trump. When they said that Donald Trump was going to be in charge of the peace plan, I was mortified. He can't even balance his own taxes. Doesn't even pay them, right? So when you look at these areas and you look at what the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was established to do, it was not intended to provide humanitarian aid. Humanitarian aid was the colonial imperialistic camouflage, the Trojan horse, to go into this area as an implementation of genocide, to forcefully displace the population, systematically, by plan. And I'm coming to you and telling you this because I saw those plans. Just like this piece of paper is sitting here on this table. I saw it. Their plans, not mine. They showed it to us. I wish I was making this up. When you look at sites 1, 2, and 3 in the south, that black line, hard to see from here, that cuts from the west to the east, from the coast to the eastern border north of Karim Abu Salam. Call it that. Don't call it Karim Shalom. That's what they call it. When you look at the line, that is the Morag corridor. Gaza is broken up into corridors. You have the Morag corridor. You have the Al-Qarar corridor. Further north at Gate 96, that line that goes across, that's the Netzarim. During my time there, they also constructed the Nahal Oz corridor, which bisects all of Gaza from the west to the east. That was once the Salah ad-Din road. The Salah ad-Din road goes from the Rafah crossing in Egypt all the way through to the Beit Khadun crossing. They've now used that to split it. Any Palestinian living in an area or a sector of one of these corridors, once they cross it into another, you don't get to go back. Everything south of the Morag corridor that I just described, Rafah, is gone. You can stand at the Rafah crossing tower and look out, and you will see flattened earth. There's nothing that left stands. The only thing that left stands that's over 3 stories tall are the remnants of the Al-Kuwaiti hospital that the IDF took over and is now their headquarters. That's why it's still there. Everything else leveled to the ground. So if you are a Palestinian in need of aid, it's not brought to you. You have to come get it. So if you're in Khan Yunis or Deir Bala, nothing in Gaza City because you're completely cut off from the Netzarim. So if you're in any of those areas, Mawasi, you have to come south to get the food. And as soon as you cross that black line, the Marag corridor, you don't get to go home. So where do you go? Well, you were then sent to either if you look at where that 12-kilometer, 7-point-mile line is right there where the intersection of the red and the Marag corridor, that is the Al-Mawasi coastal camp. It's a large encampment right on the coast. And then along where the black line hits where the start of the red is in Khan Yunis, that's the Khan Yunis camp, which was operated by the United Nations and UNRWA. That, during this period of time, was no longer being operated because the United Nations and UNRWA was not allowed in. Humanitarian assistance, humanitarian aid, humanitarian relief, HAHR, is far, far more than just food. It's medicine, it's vaccines, it's baby formula, it's Pampers, it's sundries, it's blankets, it's fuel, doctors. And in addition to the food that we were providing to the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that is a for-profit company, for-profit, just like McDonald's or Ben & Jerry's or Coke, for-profit, providing only dried parceled goods and no water. How do you cook pasta without water? How do you cook rice without water? The truth is you don't, and that was by design. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation was created in concept by the Boston Consulting Group 2 years before October 7th ever happened. Look it up. You can go to the Boston Consulting Group webpage and you can research this. The idea of a mechanism to replace the United Nations UNRWA in Gaza, and remember, UNRWA is specific to Palestine. Specific. The plan to replace UNRWA, to design an organization to deliver aid in its place, implementation with COGAT. This is the coordinating officer that governs in the territories. It falls under the Ministry of Defense of Israel. They are the contract holder. They dictate everything that goes in and out. That plan was put into place 2 years before October 7th ever happened. So what came first? The oppression or the resistance? I think it's pretty obvious. So that plan that we hear now about the Riviera, the resorts, the beach resorts, the golf courses, the Trump golf course, there's a plan for the Trump golf course in the highlands of Khan Yunis that overlooks the beach. There's a plan for that. There is a plan for the Elon Musk Technical Park. There is a plan for a high-speed rail to connect from Tel Aviv through Beit Hanun down to the south. Plans, investors, money, long before October 7th. It's scary. Now, if you ask me, did I know these things before I took the job to go into Gaza? No, I did not know these things. When I got there and I saw, what are we doing? How are we feeding people in an active war zone? So you see all the places in red? Active combat. My thought was, why don't we take the food to the people in the areas that they are where there's not bombs being dropped and feed them there? No, we want to feed them in the places where there's bomb being dropped, because then you have plausible deniability in killing them. If I was making this up, or if it wasn't the plan, we wouldn't have a death toll that exceeds 500,000. And that's the truth. Again, not my source, the IDF. The Office of the general who recently released the video that's now on the run, that's being persecuted by her own government because she revealed a rape. That same office, the Office of the Inspector General of the Israeli Defense Force of the Ministry of Defense, are the ones that released the numbers prior to the ceasefire. Why? Because the crime scene is now open. The truth is coming out. And Israel and Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and Herzog, who know that they will soon be facing tribunals in The Hague. That's a fact. That will happen. Absolutely it will. There is no doubt in my mind. And when it does, they're already trying to limit the damage and place the blame on us, the United States, and others. Hey, when y'all go in, remember that death toll we've been talking about, 64,000? It's a little bit higher than that. Oh, what is it? Like 500,000 or more. And I can tell you that that is true. Because when every day when I was employed by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, every day in and out of Gaza, crossing through Karim Abu Salam, like I was going in and out of a drive-through. In and out, in and out, in and out. Hi guys, hi IDF, how's it going? In and out. So when anybody says that it's hard to control going in and out of Gaza, that's a lie. You can see this in one of the stories I did with France 24. Verification of it. We had a local Palestinian workforce that was volunteering to work for us at site number 1, where you see the arrow in that picture that I took. 3 days after this event, May 31st. And the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation forgot that they had to feed their own employees. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation couldn't even feed its own employees, much less the Palestinians. So late at night, we didn't have any food that we could provide to them. So we got on the phone and called Domino's Pizza in Beersheba. And for a little extra money, because of the distance, through Volt, it's their DoorDash, delivered 37 pizzas into Gaza. So when the Israeli government or the United States government or the Egyptian government say that it's so hard, it's a lie. Watched them do it. A 17-year-old Volt driver delivered pizza into Gaza, and they're saying that we can't deliver aid at scale. It's a lie. It is a lie. Every day as I drove down the Philadelphia corridor, the border of Egypt and Gaza is what's called the Philadelphia corridor. Comes through Karim al-Shalom, goes to the ocean. Straight route. Checkpoints every mile, IDF. So when they say that, oh, it's dangerous, no, it's not. Going along that route, in the rubble, driving through Rafah to get to point 3. See how deep point 3 is into Rafah? There's no straight route. You have to go through the rubble to get there. And for days, you could still hear people crying for help that were buried in the rubble with no means to get them out. Left to die. Children, families, mothers, fathers. And not only is it heartbreaking, what I witnessed in Gaza and what I saw will haunt me for the rest of my life. Not because of the horror, it's part of it, but because of the inhumanity of a nation that dares to call itself the most moral army in the world. And it is not. The IDF is not even the most moral army in Gaza. Anywhere. It doesn't take an advanced army to bomb people. It does not take an advanced army to kill children. It's barbaric. At these sites, day by day and being there, each day, why aren't we delivering water? We need to deliver water. Human beings need water. It's not in the contract. So remember I told you the 4 principles of humanitarian assistance, humanitarian aid? Impartial. How can you do something impartially, neutrally, or independently when you are bound by a contract for profit with the party that is being accused of the genocide? How? That would like putting the Nazi party in charge of feeding the Jews after World War II. It would be preposterous. Yet we stand aside as a nation, as a country, as a world, and allow it. Not us in this room, but our nation. Have no doubt in your mind, whether what you've seen on social media, what you've seen in the news, what you have heard from others that may have been there or not. And for those that are in there, for those that live in Gaza, we all know that they can corroborate what I've said because they live it every day. Don't believe Fox News or CNN or others that have an agenda in lying. It's real. And soon, the truth will be so overwhelming that there is not a media outlet in the world that can hide it. And they're either going to stop talking about it, which, as we can see, they're starting. What are we talking about now? Venezuela, Venezuela, Venezuela. And that war is coming. Do not let them be silent. Do not let them forget. Do not let them whitewash, sweep this under the rug, ceasefire, peace agreement. This ceasefire, I'm a student of history. What this ceasefire reminds me of is the Indian Removal Act here in the United States that we did to the Native Americans. Promised them peace and then wiped them out. We did that. We did that. And why that touches home for me is that I recently had someone in a situation like this stand up and say, you shouldn't even be here, meaning in this country. My last name's got too many vowels in it, I guess. I was born here. That's the hate and the vitriol that this type of situation has driven so deep in our country because we can't accept that Israel is committing a genocide. So it's driven us apart by, nope, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They even said they're doing it. Milikowski himself has said that they're doing it. That's Netanyahu, by the way. I do not call him Netanyahu. That's a Zionist stage name. Call them by what they are. He is not a Semite from the land. He is a European Jew who moved with his family, grew up in New Jersey, and moved to Israel. Let's call it by what they are. I mean, I don't call myself Michael Jordan. Let's call it for what it is. So, when you look at what the United States was involved in, what the United States is complicit in, have no doubt that those involved are going to lie. Of course they're going to lie. It's either lie or go to trial in The Hague. There are billions of dollars on the line. Down there in the south, you see in that southern area where Rafah extends near the coastline, and you see Site 1, 2, and 3. I've asked myself this. I've banged my head. Why did we put the 3 sites there? If we were going to consolidate them somewhere just to save face to put food into Gaza, why don't we just do it at the crossing? Why don't we just do it across from Gate 96? Why don't we make it easy? Why don't we do it there? Of all the places, why there? Well, if you go, this is my assumption why those 3 sites are there. But if you overlay the geological survey from 2005, that is exactly where the oil is. Everybody knows that, right? 2005, 2009, massive amounts of natural gas and oil were found right off the coast. Where? Not in Egypt, in Gaza. So why would we put those 3 sites there? For a plan 2 years prior to October 7th was dictated to go in there and set up sites on a certain piece of land. Why would we do that? I don't have the answer. I'm just asking the question. Make your own assumption. But that's a question that we should ask our lawmakers. Why? This private company that was paid hundreds of millions of dollars by private investors that they will not reveal who they are to this day. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation left, tails between their legs on October 10th when the ceasefire happened. Bloop, out. And when the Palestinians started coming back to these sites where they knew that their family members had been gunned down, what did they find? Bodies. So then the next day, the head of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, who I will be at his house in DC this week, every day, banging on a pot, keeping him awake, stepped down. Johnny Moore, evangelical Christian Zionist. Step down. That's what this site is. That's what this is. We must hold our lawmakers accountable. And notice not one time since I've been here have I said anything about my political leanings, my religious leanings, where I fall in any of this. This is just a matter of humanity. This is evil. This is a stain on our consciousness that will not be wiped clean. And if you are on the wrong side of history, one day you will have to look your children in the face. For me personally, I saw it. When people say thank you for speaking out, don't thank me. It is my moral obligation. It is my moral duty. If I didn't, I'd be turning my back on who I am as a person. I am bound to share what I saw, take it or leave it. Because you can't turn your back on something like this. For me, we all come from different faiths and different beliefs. But in my belief, one day I will stand before my Maker. One day. And when I do, my Maker will look me in the face and he will say, I gave you a conscience. Why did you not listen? I gave you a heart. Why did you not feel? I gave you eyes to see. Why did you not see? And I gave you a mouth to speak the truth. And why did you remain quiet? I'll have to face my Maker. No one else standing with me. Not my parents, not my wife, not my children. Me. And when I do, what am I going to respond with? Oh, money. Oh, I was afraid of what they would say on TikTok. Or social media stuff. I don't know. I don't have any social media. Oh, I was afraid on what they would say on social media. I was afraid of what my friends would say. This is a matter of humanity. Furthermore, what I will add, right now, the United States is begging the United Nations, begging the United Nations to back a UN resolution for an international peacekeeping force. Why are we begging? Because we want it on our terms. The United Nations already said, oh yeah, we'll do it. Turkey said they would do it. And then who said, oh no, we don't want Turkey in there? Israel. Why? Because they're going to find the evidence. Right now, the United Nations the United States, that over 56 times since the 1st of January has vetoed a ceasefire. That's a fact. I'm not making it up. Go look it up. That now we're begging the United Nations to put together an international peacekeeping force. Begging. In one hand, we say the UN, illegitimate, not a real thing. But then on the other hand, we beg for their approval. When we sent special forces detachments into Afghanistan in October of 2001, you know who we did it under the approval to do it? The United Nations. When we went into Iraq to hunt down Bibi Netanyahu's claim of weapons of mass destruction, I've been all over Iraq. There was no weapons of mass destruction. I went all over that place. Not a one. Why? Well, we were allowed to do it because of the UN General Assembly Security Council resolution. Oh, so we'll use it when it benefits us. So if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So I will say UN Resolution 3236, 1974, reaffirmed the right and the obligation, not just the right, but the obligation of the Palestinian people to self-determination and national independence. I didn't make that up. 1982, UN General Assembly, Resolution 3743, reaffirms, not just affirmed it, reaffirmed the legitimacy of the struggle of the people of Palestine for their independence, for their territorial integrity, for their national unity and the liberation from foreign domination and foreign occupation by all available means to include armed struggle. The United Nations dictated that. That entire enclave to include, let's not forget about the West Bank. That entire area, from corner to corner, from north to south, from the ocean to the air to the land, is under the 100% complete occupation and territorial control of Israel. Israel does not have the right to do that. They don't. Again, I didn't make that up. So as I'm just laying out facts and I look at this, by definition, is what has occurred and what is occurring a genocide? By definition, yes. Will the genocide continue? Yes. There doesn't have to be another bomb dropped. And when you consider the famine, we could put in today, right now as we speak with a phone call, we could put in tons of food and hundreds will still die. They're beyond help. Their bodies have broken down to the point. I'll show you instances of that. When you look at all this and you see all that red, where that red meets the white, where the IDF have said that they'll pull back for this ceasefire, still maintaining over 58% of the controlled territory. How's that a ceasefire? That yellow line you heard of the yellow line, right? Okay, read about it. This yellow line that's now the demarcation line, to where if you're a Palestinian and you cross that line, we have the right to shoot you. Well, they established this yellow line and then gave themselves a 200-meter buffer. So really, you're really controlling about 63% of the entire population, which is more than they had in the first place. Lies. Lies, lies, lies. Can you go to the next picture, please? So this young boy, this just gives you a glimpse of what these sites look like from the inside. You saw that picture from the outside, right? This is what it looks like from the inside. So this young boy, I took these pictures. This was our second day of distribution. The first day of distribution, we were overwhelmed with 34,000 people. And out of those 34,000 people, guess what I never saw? An armed Palestinian. Never saw Hamas. Never saw anybody with malintent. In fact, when 34,000 people overwhelm a site and they're starving, and there were only 20 of us security operators, if they had malintent, I would not be here. And when they came to the site looking for food and there wasn't even enough food, they didn't riot. They didn't stampede. They didn't get angry. This was the second day of distribution, May 28th, 2025. This is distribution site number 3. So as you saw on the site there, 3 was the one that's closer to the Marag near Khan Yunis. This site is very dangerous in its establishment because it was co-located with an Israeli Defense Force combat unit, meaning the IDF conduct operations, but when they come back each day to refit a patrol base, if you will, if you're in the military. So having this site co-located with the Israeli Defense Force patrol base, dangerous, horrible. On this site on that day, I want you to look at this boy. What do you notice? He's not wearing any shoes. No shoes. You know how long he walked to get here? At a minimum, because he would have come from the Khan Yunis encampment. And from the Khan Yunis encampment, you can't just walk straight down. You have to go all the way to the coast, go through the corridor, and then come all the way back east. So 4 and 4 at a minimum, no telling where he would have come from. So let's just say 8 to 10 kilometers on foot in gravel and barbed wire and bombs and mines with no shoes. When's the last time you think this child ate? And by the time he got to this site, There was no food left. He picked up those scraps from the ground, things that were left behind. And if you look at that food, it's not a meal. He can't eat it. He has to go and prepare it. There's no water. This young boy lost his father in an airstrike. He lived and was from the city of Khan Yunis. And when it was bombed during Operation Gideon's Chariots, operational offensive of the IDF to take control of the Central Corridor, his father was killed. He and his mother and his siblings were evacuated. When they were evacuated east, he was separated. And he went with another family down south to Khan Yunis, and his mother and family went west to Mawasi. The IDF do not care about keeping families together. They don't. There's not even a mechanism to do it, so how would you know? There's a recent picture that came out from Al Jazeera, from some of the reporters that are still alive, and it's in front of the mosque, and it's in Gaza, and it's all the children that have been orphaned. It's heartbreaking. So on this day when this young boy came to this site, he came with the family that he was staying with in Khan Yunis camp, and they were separated en route here because of the machine gun fire firing at them as they came to the site. It was standard practice for the IDF to fire at the crowds to keep them from like swarming, if you will, or crowding, if you will, which is a horrible, horrible way to do it. I suggested when I was there looking at I was like, how about we put out a sign? Put a sign that tells them where to go instead of shooting at them. So he was separated from them, and he was on this site by himself. And as the mass crowd left, we did not do distribution at these sites. We pulled up in trucks. We pushed all the boxes off the back of the trucks with forklifts, piled it up, moved the trucks, and when the IDF said, hey, it's time to do it, they would move their tanks. They would block the corridor with their Merkava tanks, and then everybody would rush in. The food on this site on that day, I timed it. 6 minutes and 14 seconds, gone, all the food. So these children that show up, you see them in the background, children, women, nothing for them except scraps, picking through the leftovers. And this young boy from a distance, he came up to us, walking up to us, and I thought to myself, we don't have any food to give him. We don't have anything else to give him. And as he approached us with that face, look at that face, that beautiful face. A child, a soul, a human being. And when he came up and he walked up to us, there was another contractor standing there with me. There was two of us there. He didn't beg for more food. He didn't tell us how bad we were. He said, thank you. Shukran. And he reached out to us. We didn't put our hand, he reached out to us and he kissed his hand and then he placed it onto his forehead, which is very reverent and respectful. Yet, Netanyahu and the rest of them, they'll say that's Hamas. That's what they want you to believe. And it's not. And when this little boy had his parcels of food and he had walked away because the IDF said, get them off the site because we're going to start closing down the corridor. Once the corridor is closed, if you're stuck, you're dead. We had to get them off. They will shoot them in the name of security. So we had to get him off. We said, go, you need to go, you need to go. And as he's walking away with the crowd, I saw this little boy walking away, no shoes. That's my hand right there on the right, holding him after he kissed my hand, and I placed my hand on his shoulder, and you could feel the emaciation in the bone. His fingernails, as he came, his fingernails no longer producing, his body wasn't producing keratin, which is a clear indicator of starvation. When your body can no longer produce fingernail keratin, you're breaking down, you're dying. And as he walked away, a voice in my head, as clear as I'm talking to you, as he was walking away, just like the breeze through the air, but in my head, don't you forget this. Don't you forget. Don't you forget, Amir. Don't you forget the Palestinians. Don't you forget human beings. And as this young boy walked away, because the IDF at that site, out of the 423rd Reserve Battalion, I've got their names, fired upon this crowd and killed that young boy. And that young boy, in addition, just like many others outside of these distribution sites, you saw that picture of the thousands, right? So after they would be pushed off the site back north to the corridor, remember they couldn't go back across it, to the corridor that they'd be either pushed to the Mawasi or the Khan Yunis camps. And they'd clear the corridor. Once they had everybody out, they would come through the corridor with bulldozers. Bulldozers provided by Caterpillar, US made, provided to the IDF at a special discount. Look it up. And as these D9 bulldozers would clear the path to flatten everything out, because when you have thousands of people going through sand dunes, this is the coast, churns everything up. So they would come through and they'd flatten it. All those bodies would be buried. Thousands of bodies buried outside of these sites. There is not a day that goes by, and I don't care who, even my own mother, would say otherwise. This young boy was killed because the United States, the Israeli government, have a plan for this genocide. Further corroborated by doctors, surgeons who were in Gaza the same time I was at these hospitals, that on the same days, on the 28th of May, 2025, at the Nasser Hospital, which is just a straight stone's throw away, received a mass casualty incident. I'll never forget this boy's face. But what's incredibly important that I think people know, that I think people recognize and remember, which we have to remember, the humanity, the spirit. Like just today, as I heard these young children outside playing. That's a mirror. This young boy had to fight for his survival and didn't even know it, born into a world of war of which he will never know anything different. And we, the United States, are a part of that. We are a part of it. And if you think that our lawmakers have a heart, they don't. I have talked to them in person. I have gone to Washington, D.C. I have been arrested in the Capitol and hauled out of our nation's capital for telling our congressmen that we are complicit in a genocide. And I'll do it again. I will do it again. These are the victims. Victims. Not unfortunate aspects of a war. I've been to war. This is evil. Never forget. Never forget this young boy. Never forget the thousands of Palestinians, but also never forget the thousands that stay. Never forget the thousands that are still there, living in open sewage, without electricity, not knowing when they're going to get their next meal. That the international community has said, leave, leave, just leave. Take the easy way out. Leave. Look, we'll set up a nice place for you in the Negev desert. We'll send you to Cyprus. The United States government, over the last month, has spent, out of our annual child support to Israel, we pay them child support every year of like $3.8 billion, bought 400 hectares, or equivalent of what we would call an acre, a little bit bigger, in Cyprus. Why? I don't know. Interesting. So, for those that stay every day, that is courage. That are the people that we need to remember every day, whether it's in Sudan or the Congo or the Western Sahara or in Gaza. And what I will tell everybody in the United States, in these United States, what I will tell everybody is that if you think this is in a faraway land, in a faraway place with a people that you will never know, think again. because it's coming. To the streets of Portland, to the streets of Chicago, to the streets of LA, to the streets of Washington, D.C., it's coming. The tactics that were used here are the same thing we're doing here. What did we just cut the benefit for over the last month so that Trump can build his ballroom? SNAP. What does SNAP serve? The needy, vulnerable population of our country. Children. Children. That's what it's designed for. What are we doing here? Starving children. ICE. Where do they train? They train in Tel Aviv. It's a fact. ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Gendarmerie, Internal Security Forces of the IDF, hold annual training. Either they come here or we go there, and they exchange tactics. And the tactics that are being used in Portland, identical to the tactics being used in the West Bank. It's a carbon copy, and it's not a coincidence. So if you think that this young boy on this piece of land, in a land far away, is just some little boy that doesn't matter, think again. This is your children. This is my children. I cannot look at my son without seeing Amir's face. Can you go to the next? This was later on during my employment where I had pretty much seen enough, had enough, and couldn't stand for it anymore. I had documented many things, photos and videos. I kind of feel at a point where I went into we're trying to do good, let's fix it, to the, oh no, we're not, kind of like, let me capture the evidence role. And it became more and more dangerous. This is at secure distribution site number 4. If you recall, that was the one further north near the Netzarim that was connected to the city of Barish. That Barish is now gone. Everything within the Netzarim corridor since offensive operations in Gaza City is gone. The IDF extended the Netzarim corridor from 4 kilometers wide to 8 kilometers wide. That's huge. Everything in between gone. This site doesn't exist anymore. Gone. Leveled. And that's not that long ago. I was there May to June of this year. This isn't years ago. The milk in my fridge is older than when I was there. So on this site, this young girl, Basma, much like I had described in the site before, the children and the elderly get there later than everybody else because it's a free-for-all. It's a fight for the fittest to get there. When this young girl arrived, see her purple backpack? Her sandals? Beautiful child, beautiful human being. Think about this. When she woke up that morning, she never knew when she'd eat again. When she went to bed the night before, she didn't know if she'd eat again or live. Look at that smile. I didn't know this then. I'm sorry. I do speak some basic Arabic, but I don't really know the origination of names. But Basma means to smile. I didn't know that. It's appropriate, right? Or smile, I think it means smile or to smile. But beautiful child, beautiful child. And she came to the site. She walked up right to us. You see the people standing there. It's one of the other coordinators, some other children. And she comes up, and through the gentleman that was there, this gentleman is Palestinian. He moved to the United States. He lived in Dearborn. He was a surgeon. He went back so he could help people. He was here at the site helping. Spoke obviously fluent English. And she comes up and she says something. I'll say what the conversation that she and I had without going back and forth between interpreter. Just realize that the gentleman there interpreted for us. And she comes up and she was like, "Where's the food?" It's like, "We're out. It's gone." She's like, "I came here for food. I'm not leaving without it." She's like, "I came here to get." She's like, "I came yesterday and there was no food. Came the day before and there was no food. Not leaving without food. My family needs food. I'm here for food." I said, we don't have any left. So you see that package that she's holding, that's cookies. And if you open up this package, inside of it, there's like these smaller packs, like you get on an airplane, you know, like the little cookies they give you, kind of like that in this larger package. Myself and a few other contractors, when we'd gone to these sites day after day after day after day after day, seeing children and the elderly, just human beings showing up to the site, calorie deficient. So if you're showing up to one of these sites and you're walking 8 to 10 kilometers in the hot sun, you're burning calories. And then you show up there and there's no food. So we bought these cookies from an Indian company that was in Gaza that provided, those cookies are also provided to some of the points that the UN was running. So we bought a box of them and I was there and I handed her this package thinking that, you know, she'd go away. She opens it up and she starts handing out these cookies to other children, to other Palestinians. Not just taking it, handing that out. And after she was done, because she saw the box there, she's like, give me another one. All right, yes ma'am. I give her another one, rips it open, and she starts handing them out. She's like, give me another one. She starts handing them out. She's going through this whole box. And there wasn't many left, and I was like, there's not a lot left. And she says something, and I was like, what'd you say? It's like, she said, if you can't feed her people, then she will. Look at this girl. I'm not making that up. Look at the strength and the spirit. And I had the last package left. That's the one she's holding. And I gave it to her. And right before that picture was taken, you can see the look on her face is a smile. But you can also see the desperation. As strong as you can be, it's scary to live in a world like this. It's scary. And here she is alone, doing it. And right before that picture was taken and she had stopped, because at this point you can hear the gunfire. You can hear it. And she puts down her backpack and she's putting the cookies in. This is the next photo after this, which I didn't bring for here, but it's in the next sequence of photos, and she's putting it in. And the IDF said, you need to get everybody off the site. So I said, you have to go home. You have to go home. Pleading with those that were left. This other girl, Bathma, the other kids. And she reaches into her backpack and she pulls out this, and she shows it to me. And it was a photo that she'd kept. Old traditional photo. And as I was saying to her, go home, she shows me this photo and she said, this was my home. This was my home. Right here in Barish, where you bulldozed my home was right here where we stand. That's the school that I went to, gone. The mosque that we prayed at, gone. The hospital that I was born in, gone. I was born here. This is my home. What do you say to that? And as I said, I'm sorry. If you don't leave now, it'll be dangerous. You have to go home. And she's putting the cookies in her bag and she zips it up, puts on her backpack and straighten up the shoulder straps. And as she's getting ready to walk away, she stops and she looked at me. Through my soul. She looked right at me and she said, you go home. So I did. Because we have no right to be there. And we have no right to take their land. We certainly do not have the right to take a people's land and bulldoze it and build a resort. I pray to God every night. From the faces that I've seen and the things that I've witnessed, I pray to God every night. But I also ask, why did I go there? I was retired, 25 years. the reckoning that I will have to address for the rest of my life for the 25 years of service to an imperial colonial nation. But I was facing that, and I wanted to be alone. And when I was recruited to go to Gaza, I did not want to go. I didn't. And on May 13th, when I got this call from UG Solutions, the contract company that was hiring us because they needed people to go, I didn't want to go, and I said, I'll have to think about it. And this was on a Tuesday. And they said, well, we're leaving Friday. Wow, I got a whole 3.5 days to consider it? And I said, call me back in the morning, I'm going to think about it. And they said, okay. And I prayed that they wouldn't call me. And they did. And I looked at the phone, and I said, don't answer it. And I did. I don't know why. And when I answered it, I already had my excuse. And when they said, are you interested in going? And I said, yes. And I was like, why did I say that? And I went. And in the last quarter century, I have fought in every war that this country has endeavored. Some pretty bad places. And what I witnessed with my eyes in Gaza broke me. And when the world sees it, the veil is removed, the curtain falls, and when we all see the truth, it will break us if it hasn't already. And yet, they remain, and they will not leave. This ceasefire was never a ceasefire. It was a trap. It was a trick. The 20-point peace and prosperity plan, all it serves is a tool of imperialism, a tool of colonial power put on paper to subjugate people that have every right to that land. And it's not just happening in Gaza. We know this. It's happening every day in the West Bank, inch by inch, meter by meter, mile by mile. I don't know if the flyer was shared with everybody for today's event. I asked it if it would be called a stone's throw away. There's a reason for that. Actually, I got that from her. The first time I met Nirvet in Detroit, she had said to me, she was like, I'm Palestinian through and through. I was born with a rock in my hand.
It's in her purse right now.
It's in her purse right now. And when you think about that, that sign of resistance, to stand up against your occupier, to stand up against those that want to oppress you, that is strength. Yet, a stone's throw away also means something that's very close, but so far. And as we look at this right now, we cannot turn a blind eye to what is happening. We cannot take a breath and say, it's okay. And if we think that our lawmakers are going to act on our behalf for what is right, we are only fooling ourselves. They will not. I've talked to them. When you go to see Senator Cotton in his office and you say, children are dying, and he says, well, Hamas started it. What an ignorant human being. Don't stand for it. So,
Thank you, brother.
thank you.
Quick round of applause for everybody. I think it was standing round of applause for everybody.
You asked an important question, Brother Anthony, about why did I go there and why I was there. And I think there's two important things, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it at the end. But one, what we knew in our hearts and our minds, you have the courage and the strength to come out and say it on a platform like nobody else can. And we thank you for that, and that's strength. And I think at the minimum what we can do, and is very important, is be able to bear witness these things, right? I understand and bear witness them. So thank you so much for what you witnessed, and your testimony has changed the hearts of millions and brought facts and reality to what's happening. And with that being said, we want to thank you again for all of your important facts and information that you brought up today. And we also want a chance to open it up for the community for some Q&A. If anybody had any questions, myself and Brother Muhammad will go around and handing some mics, so that way we can get some questions. So all you gotta just put your hands up and we'll come around the room.
I just drank some. I'm good. Thank you. Thanks.
For the back.
First of all, thank you, Anthony. Great presentation. I think I've seen you on Tucker Carlson too, right?
Mhm.
You were on there.
Twice.
I
yeah.
recommend you go to Candace Owen program too. I love her. She would love to have you.
I honestly, I don't know how to. Oh, I'm sorry. When I was first asked, so I was on Tucker Carlson twice. I didn't reach out to them. They asked me. I didn't know who Tucker Carlson was when they first asked if I wanted to go on to his platform. The second time, I got to go up to Maine and spend some time with him in his home, and it was good to share my perspective in a way that it's waking others up to the truth. The people in this room, you've known the truth. Nothing of what I have said is new. Nothing of what I have said is revolutionary or revelationary, you know. But there's others that don't, or others that deny it. And my purpose is to break through that wall of ignorance to where, oh, you talk about genocide? Oh, you must be Hamas. Oh, you talk about genocide? You must be biased. You must be, the Gaza Health Ministry. I mean, I can sit down with a lawmaker and say, I am none of the above. So what's your excuse now? And they don't have one. So that's where I see that I can help in this. And I would love to talk to Candace. I just don't know how to do any of that. I just sit back and wait for someone to say, hey, do you want to do this?
Okay. Thank you for that. But my main question is, I have been stunned and shocked to my core about the Arab nation that have been letting this genocide go on for 2 years. It's just like they're the same blood. It's just like they're neighbors. What are their reasoning? What do you think about that? I'm just dying to know your answer.
I mean, full transparency, I am not incredibly educated in the aspects of the Abraham Accords and other aspects of the region. However, I think that, for example, looking at Qatar. Qatar and the United States have a very codependent relationship. And I think other nations, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Lebanon, fear what the United States would do if they dare admonish or speak up against precious Israel. It's an evil. And I don't mean Israel necessarily as a nation, although that's a consideration to have a discussion on. I mean people like Netanyahu and Smotrich and Ben Gvir. They will drop a nuke on their own mother. They're evil people. So, however, I do think that there's a change. There's a shift. When you think about what the Houthis have done in Yemen, they stepped up. I mean, everyone else saying we can't, and they stepped up. Label them and call them what you will in history, fine. But from an objective standpoint, they're standing up. And recently now, where you see others that fear the nuclear threat, Israel is the only nuclear nation that will not abide by the IAEA, and they're the first to say that Iran won't, so that's why they can't have a bomb, but they don't. Now there's another player in town. Saudi Arabia reached out, and they now have a security pact with Pakistan. That's a huge step away from the norm. And I think others will start to do that. I think other Arab nations will start to realize that the United States will not honor its promises if Israel is the actor in which we will break our promise for. Qatar learned that the hard way. I mean, so I think that there's going to be a change. And this is why that scares me, in that there will be a choice. A choice will have to be made in where the United States is going to stand. Will we stand with Israel, or will we stand with the world? Because the world is not going to tolerate it anymore when they realize that the facade is gone, that the big bad wolf in the neighborhood is not as big bad as we thought, that the pit bull on the chain of the United States has broken its chain, is now running rampant throughout Asia. And that when that happens and the United States is pulled into a war, this will not be a war in which we're fighting militias and tribes in the mountains of Afghanistan or the streets of Iraq. This will be a pure war. We will fight nations that have air dominance and air superiority. They will shoot F-35s out of the sky. They will sink U.S. aircraft carriers off the coast, and we will pay. So what scares me to that question is that the Arab nations are slowly waking up to realizing that an Israel that is unchecked is not in the best interest of the region, nor is it in the best interest of the world. Israel flew jets and missiles into Qatar to blow up a residential building to knock the Hamas negotiators out of it. And regardless of what Israel's justification was, they clearly stepped and violated the sovereignty of a sovereign nation that houses the largest U.S. military base forward deployed. They don't care. They don't care. And after they did it, what did we do? We apologized for them. There is a photo, and I wouldn't believe it if I didn't know the person that took it. It's online, of Donald Trump literally holding the telephone in the Oval Office while Bibi gives a written apology to the Qatari Emir. We are lapdogs. And it's coming. I think the Arab world is going to wake up more. Why they haven't already, I don't know, but it certainly is not all, because there are some that have stood up.
Isn't it the reason that their own government, Arab governments, or a Zionist government, they were put there by the global Jewish...
If I were writing an opinion piece, I'd say so. I mean, do I have first-base evidence to show to that? No, but I mean, if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, looks like a duck, you're like, no, it's probably regime. Yeah. So I would assume so.
So we have a question in the back. There's a strong cut off at 2 p.m. so people can pray dhuhr. So we'll try to just keep this comment really quick and then we'll go to the question right here.
It's actually just a comment. I run a branding and marketing agency. I'd like to give you my services for free if you'd like it, just so we can get the word out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the branding and marketing space, I have zero idea what I'm doing. When they called me, I was working at Lowe's Garden Center. I have no aspirations for politics or books or social media. But every day I wake up and I ask myself, can America's world leaders just acknowledge a genocide and put an end to it so I can go back to working at Lowe's? It's not going to happen anytime soon.
Thank you very much for your talk, and for becoming a whistleblower after witnessing what you've witnessed. In earnest, I do have a question, and I think you're the best person to ask this. On the one hand, it's so incredible that you can be a witness to this. You did work for the military, it gives you a kind of standing. But at the same time, I just am genuinely curious, what was it, you said you were in the Iraq War, and everything I know about the Iraq War, over 1 million Iraqis dead, there was quite a few crimes against humanity. So I'm kind of curious why that wasn't the sort of breaking point. What it is, how was it that it was this particular event that was the revelatory one? Was there any kind of ways that you can see the Iraq War as being a kind of normalization of the kinds of things that we are seeing unfold today? So I felt remiss not to ask you that, given that your extended military experience.
No, it's a great question. I'll ask it in the way that, very simple. It was asked to me by a young college student in Dearborn, Michigan, where she said, "Thank you for speaking out, but have you been living under a rock?" She said that to me. You were there. Yeah, she was there. Oh, you've been talking about this and that? And I was like, yeah. She's like, thank you. Have you been living under a rock or are you dumb? And I was like, well, okay. Great question. Throughout my military career, time and time again, there are things that I started to question and realize, but the path that I chose in the military, you know, when you hear special forces and this and that, you think Navy SEALs, commandos, you know, guys that go in the middle of the night and shoot people. What Special Forces Green Berets do is that we are trained and educated to actually free the oppressed and raise resistance forces. So in every deployment that I was in Iraq, granted the larger strategy, which, I mean, I joined the Army at 17. I mean, 17, I mean, before that, my mom was still doing my laundry. So did I get the big picture? No, I did not. Did I go with what I was told? Sure. Did I want to serve my country? Yes. The oath that I took to the United States military was not an oath of let's go around the world and kill people. Let's bring oppression to the less and fight for Zionist regime. I mean, that's what Iraq was. Who tricked us into that war? Netanyahu. So yeah, I question that a lot. The difference in what I saw in Gaza, the difference is that without question, without any doubt, the United States is the handmaiden in this. Not under a facade of, hey, we're here for nation building, broke it, you got to fix it, you broke it, you buy it, we got to stay to fix it, we broke for the better. And what I saw here was clear, undeniable, unjustifiable, undefendable evidence that the United States took part in the planning, the execution, the lying, the cover-up, the facade of what is actually going on, not just what I witnessed, but what the Palestinian people have been enduring for decades. So did I know that prior? No, I didn't. My military career through many deployments, my focus was primarily as an operations officer was in Southeast Asia and the Pacific. So I was very hyper-focused on Taiwan and the Solomon Islands. But when I saw this firsthand, it became very clear to me that this is not a question of, are we doing the right thing even though other people will think it's wrong, but we're doing the harder right over the easier wrong? No. The United States is involved in the wrong of wrongs and it's evil. And that became clear to me. So.
So I think in the past year mostly, a lot of people have been gaining awareness, especially across the world. We've been having more protests.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you think the global media affects the way people see Palestine, and how can we raise awareness better, especially to the youth?
Great. That's a great question. And the global media, for the most part, is complicit in the dehumanization and the continued allowance of murder at scale, because dehumanization is something that has been happening since when the Haganah first showed up to the shores of Palestine. Dehumanization. Look at the ceasefire. The Palestinians and Hamas gave back hostages, but Israel gave back prisoners? Bullshit. Hostages the same. If you're going to call them one, call them the other. Hostages. Right now, Israel holds in their custody Mohammed Ibrahim, 16-year-old boy from Florida. He is an American. He's not a dual citizen. He's not, DACA. He is an American. And he is held in the notorious prison in Israel, and he is being starved to death, and his body is covered in scabies, and he hasn't talked to his parents since he has been there. Why? Because he threw a rock. The most moral, biggest, baddest army in the world, and a kid threw a rock, and now he is dying. And he is an American. So yeah, when they talk about exchange of hostages, but on one side it's prisoners, baloney. And who promulgates that? The media. The media. All over the media. Prisoners, hostages, prisoners, hostages. Well, if we're going to call them one, we're going to call them the other. Hostages, period, on both sides. In Israel, you took a lot more hostages. Hostages. So the youth. I'm actually going from here. Today the 9th? Yeah. From here, tomorrow, I'll be flying up to New York City, and on the 11th, I'm speaking to the student body in Columbia University that led the initial encampments. And I'm going to tell them that 2 years ago, when the world thought that this was not cool, they had it right. They knew. The youth is the most important aspect of all of this, to protect the generation after you, but to do the things that we cannot because our current leadership in this world are compromised. Now, I would say that in the youth movement, use people like me. So someone like my age, I can go to, I got a lot less to lose. I'll go to jail. I don't care. If you're in the youth, it's really hard to risk all that, right? So, but the youth movement, what led us through the civil rights? The youth. What led us through, times of change in this country? The youth. What led us through breaking segregation in this country? The youth. Kent State University. Universities, the youth. So for the youth body, the movement, throw people like me out front that are willing to, break things so y'all can move through with justice and changing the government. That's the election of Mandami in New York City is a moment in this country. It is a moment in this country. Set aside politics, Democrat, Republican, socialist, whatever name you want to give it, and just look at people showed up and voted. Yes. That's a fact. Yes. And the reason the far extremes of left or right can't hate on that, they can hate on him all they want, and they do. But they will not call that election unfair because it was not. People showed up. And that's how you change things, by not leaving it on the fringes so a Donald Trump can say, the election was stolen because it was off by this and that. You show up in numbers and you make it undeniable. That is what Mamdani has done. And for that gives me hope.
Absolutely. So we might have time for one, maybe two more questions. We have a brother right there, and we'll get you in, my sister. Okay. Oh, let me give you this mic because it's got the special mic on it too. There you go.
Brother Anthony, you told us not to thank you, and it says, just itself says a lot about who you are as a person, the moral clarity you have. But I want to thank you, and we all want to thank you from our hearts. My question for you is, are you making inroads to the churches and synagogues in this country? Like we are,
Oh, yeah.
we are, like you said, we already are from there. A lot of us are from the Middle East. Or we know history as much as you do, maybe more. But I think it is time for the, general people in the United States, common people, and people of interfaith, and people of willing but different faiths. And through them, I think the success is going to come as much as it's through us. Thank you.
Yeah, so another part of it is that I kind of get, a ticket into all mosques, synagogues, churches, and I've been to all of them and spoken to all of them. I went down to Florida recently. I was invited by a very affluent pro-Zionist group in the Villages of Florida. I didn't know what the Villages were. We were like, oh, you're going there? I'm like, what's wrong? It's Florida. So, but they invited me. They're like, hey, we want you to come talk and share your story. I was like, sure. They're like, well, if you come down here, it's not going to be friendly. I'm like, why are you invited? Like, okay. He's like, you invited me, but fine. It's like, I've been shot before. If you think you're going to call me some names and that's going to scare me, I don't care. My wife calls me worse. So, that's another story as to why I got involved in doing this, because I was afraid of what my wife would think. But I'm like, go for it. Let's do it. So when I went down there to speak with them, it was just vitriol and hate. And at the end of it, I said, you can hate me all you want. You haven't in any way denied that there's a Holocaust, a genocide. Deny that. You can't. So hate me all you want. It doesn't change it. It's like, I don't care what you have to say about me. And so just last week, I was in the Bronx. I spoke at St. Anthony de Padua Catholic Church, and I spoke with the Covenant of Nuns that is the Sisters of Mercy for Mother Teresa. They are the sisters that run the Catholic Church in Gaza that refuse to leave. So I talked to them. I've gone to synagogues. I've gone to mosques. I've gone to churches. I've gone to Catholic churches. This week I'm going to Boston and I'm speaking at St. Cecilia's Catholic Church in Boston, and I'm going to Durham, New Hampshire to speak at the community church there. People want to hear the truth. And like I said, and even speaking to today, I don't think any of you will know where my politics side, because it's not about that. And it might surprise you. Like, it's not about politics. And if we all believe in a religion and a God, regardless, New York City spoke to a large group of the Orthodox Jews that stand for Palestine. This isn't religion. How does a Christian Zionist and a Zionist be on the same page? Do they realize that in the end, neither of them can exist together? Like, when I hear that, I'm like, are you dumb? Like, so when I see that a Christian Zionist, self-proclaimed Mike Huckabee, is a champion of the state of Israel, and that a Zionist says, yeah, I'm like, you do realize that in the end, if you get your way, one of you is gone? You can't be friends in that, under that aspect. So it tells me this is not about religion. This is about power. This is about money. And you know who used religion to tie back to the Holy Roman Empire and the Catholic Church and bring it under a Reich? He tried to do the third one. His name was Hitler. And he used religion in the same way that our politicians do. This is not religion. This is not religion. This is hatred and racism. And someone in America that looks at someone like you or you and thinks that you're a terrorist. It's racism. And that's what we have to stand up against, not our religious beliefs. I mean, I grew up in a religiously mixed household. And nothing in anything that I've ever learned, and I've read the Bible, and I've read the Quran, and I've read the Talmud, and I've read them all to understand, and nowhere in there did I find anything that said, let's all kill each other. If you look at the message of all, and I just don't, to me, this is again, if I was writing an opinion piece, this is not anything that you could, put in a court of law, but opinion-wise, what we're seeing here is not in the name of religion. It is in the name of power and racism and money. That's what I think.
Absolutely. So we'll do a quick last question, and we have some important final comments.
Again, Brother Anthony, I know you told us not to thank you, but thank you for what you're doing. My question to you is, the American army and military takes an oath to protect America, right? But then if Donald Trump they send the American military against these Gazans into Gaza as quote unquote policing them, will you try and talk to your colleagues, your past colleagues, saying what you guys will, I know if they do that, they may get court-martialed, but under the radar, would you try and talk to them and say what you're going to be doing is wrong?
Well, I do that every day with friends and peers of mine, and I tried my best to do it in the Capitol when that's what I was telling them, to Congress. Abide by your oath to the Constitution. What we are doing in supporting this and saying that we're going to send a U.S. Central Command peacekeeping force into Gaza, we are simply aligned to the bad guy. And that is not in line with American values. And I have spent so much time in Washington, D.C. over the last 3 months, it makes me sick. Because when you go there, in this entitled opinion of our lawmakers that this is their country. And when I go in, I'll remind them. I will kick my feet up on their desks, and I will wear flip-flops into their office to make it a point that this is our house. This is our house, not yours. That's what we have to remind them of. And something that scares me as a former military, but as a citizen, is that the United States military is created. The United States military defends the state against foreign enemies and domestic. We forget that. And domestic. But our police force is supposed to serve and protect. When the military is used as the police, the enemy then becomes us. And that's what they're doing. The enemies of the state are now us, and we're using the military in the streets. That's what we have to stand up against. And I think I'm really happy right now that Turkey is not throttling back on saying that they need to do something about it. Turkey, we knock on Turkey. Turkey is a NATO ally. In every war that I fought, you know who's been at my side? The Turk. You know how many times the IDF have been at my side in wars that I fought? Zero. I would trust a Turk going into Gaza any day more so than I would us.
Absolutely. Well, we're supposed to be the last question, but there's maybe one last question.
Thank you. Hi, yes, my question is along the same line. So I was wondering if there are any veterans or current active duty members that are also experiencing the same questioning that you experience, that are, you know, starting to reevaluate maybe their role in this, and what the conversations are like in that circle. Is there like dissent internally? Like, what can you tell us about that?
I mean, Aaron Bushnell. I mean, that's one. Myself and Captain Josephine, she got arrested with me. She's done a few more demos like that. Others are waking up.
She's the boss.
What I will say is that will there be more? Yes. And part of it is because of what we're seeing in Gaza, but part of it is unforced errors by our own administration. Like when I watch Pete Hegseth, the quote that comes to mind is, "Don't interrupt an idiot when they're making a mistake. Just let him continue." Because that little stunt he pulled in Quantico, Virginia last month turned every general officer and admiral in our military against him. Because he's the president of the United States, as the commander-in-chief, took to the stage, and when the commander-in-chief speaks, it's an order. Whether he tweets it, whether he writes it on a napkin, it's an order. And he went onto that stage and told those American military officers to start using American cities as training grounds. And you'll see who resigned last month. The 4-star general combatant commander of U.S. Southern Command resigned. Out. I'm done. Once he's out, like it takes a while. But once he's out and no longer under the non-disclosure agreements that he is under, it's coming out. I cannot wait for that guy to go on the news circuit. Because what that guy's going to say about what we're doing in Venezuela is going to open our eyes. So more and more are coming around in their own way, in their own right. There are, however, a lot of military that think that this is good. And it's dangerous. Dangerous when you see veterans who think that acting in line with a racist is okay. That's dangerous.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your question. It's a quick last.
I just wanted to bring it to your attention, the saga of USS Liberty in the 1960s.
Yes.
And how that was quickly brushed under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And are you guys not thought about it?
We talk about it. Oh, yeah. So you're with veterans, you're with About Face, right? Yeah, so there's Veterans for Peace, there's About Face, there's organizations out there. The USS Liberty. In fact, when I was in Chicago just last Thursday, 2 of the survivors of the USS Liberty were there and we talked. And this is the danger, because the USS Liberty survivors will come out and say this happened, and the American government will call them liars. Because Israel said, it's an accident. Well, okay, if that was an accident, then you're not the greatest military. So which is it? We're the greatest military. Well, then how did that? Well, we weren't good that day. No, you did it on purpose.
Absolutely.
And we know that. The evidence is overwhelming. But when these guys come out who rely on a pension and a retirement, and they come in, they speak out, and the government says, you better watch out if you want to see your grandkids again, because they'll take it. It's evil. But yeah, those guys have come out quite a bit, I think, speaking out. It's hard.
But 6 out of 4 people would know about it if you were to just talk about it. I mean, I'm talking about general population.
General population would
They
not
wouldn't
know. About it. No.
But
no.
that was a
Well, it's
blatant
kind of like
attack against.
how the Gulf
Yeah.
of Tonkin pulled us into Vietnam, right? Not a lot of people would know about that. Almost the same thing. So part of this with the youth aspect also is educating people. Like my parents, Fox News parents, aren't going to get this on Fox News. Educate them, have conversations. Like I've since been having conversation with my parents more about this, and they trust me because 1, I'm their son, but 2, they know that I've gone to these wars, that I'm not just somebody that's like, oh, guess what I heard today? Like if I'm telling it, they're like, okay, maybe we should listen. So educate, inform, have that conversation. But yeah, it's more of them are speaking out, but more people need to be. And if you don't know that, look it up. USS Liberty, strike against the USS Liberty by the Israeli aerial forces and the Arab-Israeli conflict. Look it up. It's horrific. That was an American ship.
Yeah, sure was. Big round of applause for Brother Anthony for answering all the questions and for his courageous story. So I think a few big takeaways from today's event is very important, and I want to kind of highlight that as, for example, Brother Anthony's story was one person that decided to stand up, and then I feel it was a consequential standing up, and it brought so much change towards the narrative of what was happening around there. And I want to kind of relate that back to everybody here today, right? Here, us as a community, the important calls to action that Brother Anthony was talking about, which is showing up, which is voting, which is picking up a phone and making a phone call, which is showing up to community events or civic action events. Right here at ICOI, the Civic Engagement Committee is going to be getting active. What do we want? For example, we have trials coming up right now around the UCI encampment. We want to be able to support all of the students, and we want to create a community line of defense, because if we don't show up, they're going to show up to our doorstep, right?
Yeah.
We need to establish a community line of defense where we let them know where certain things are a red flag. You cannot cross those things, such as our freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, our constitutional rights, but also highlighting what's happening over there in Gaza, right? Also, we want to look at ethical investing. How can our city look into ethical investing? There's a lot of actions that are coming up, and it's not always where it's an encampment where everybody's coming and then we all want to go. Sometimes it's 5 people that show up and that make a difference. I assure you that if everybody in this room showed up and we went to city council and made demands, we will get through those demands together.
Yep.
And that no one can stop us, inshallah, because we are speaking from a place of right. We are speaking from a place of good, and it's our duty, just like your duty, to have civic engagement, especially in a community where we find so much discrimination, especially with Islamophobia and other communities around us. So it's very important. I do want to highlight that. See those QR codes on the wall? Those are ICOI's Civic Action Committee. So those are going to be volunteers. They're going to help us with events like this, showing up, making a difference. And it goes, if you have an hour, 2 hours, whether a month or a week, every little bit goes a long way. And you never know what your strengths and your specialties can help this community so much. So please make sure that you're getting involved and stay tuned to a lot of the information that is being sent, inshallah. And with that being said, Sister Taiba, and then I'm gonna give it to Brother Am.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Jazakallah khair for coming. I want to apologize to you that this was last minute. It's because we kind of planned it almost like last minute. I want to give a big thanks to Mervet, because she's gonna say no, because she's always in the background. But mashallah, whenever I ask Mervet for something, for Irvine, for anywhere, she does it. I actually texted her a few weeks ago. Anthony was in town, and I was like, can we get him at ICOI? And, you know, she spoke to him, and she's like, you know what, next time you come in town, like, can you go to Irvine? So I went and met Anthony with my kids and Ziba, and we spoke to him, and he was like, oh yeah, Mervet told me about you. So a huge thanks to her, because it wouldn't happen without her. And mashallah, Mervet does a lot of things in the background for us, and she's amazing. She's an activist. She's been around forever. She's Palestinian, so big thanks to her. Also, Sister Karima in the back, she is actually the one that made all of this happen for us. From, the flyers, mashallah, the registration, the tables, the chairs, everything. If we didn't have that, we just showed up here today. It was really, really easy for us. And then also the Civic Engagement Committee, not everybody's here. Brother Am's here, Adil's here. This is my team. They're amazing. They're incredible. They are the most supportive team that someone can ever have. So they're pretty incredible. Anthony, thank you so much. You are one of the easiest people to work with. It was wonderful to work with you, just collaborating together. It was just, I wish everyone was just as easy as him. It was really easy. And Nick, thank you so much for standing there for a few hours, putting up the QR codes. And thank you to everyone that came here today. I mean, you guys took your Sunday afternoon. You left your kids babysitting, whatever it is that you did just to come out here. You have no idea how much that means to us. And you're here. Now, the thing that I want to leave you with, and I'm sorry if I get like teary-eyed because I'm like, I get a little bit emotional about this, is we really need you guys. There's been a genocide going on for 2 years now. We've done everything together, okay? You guys know me. You guys know each other. We've been to city councils. We've been at the encampments. Y'all brought tea for me at the encampments. We have been at the protests. We have been at Congressman Min's office. And we will not stop. Our brothers and sisters in Gaza, they need us. Okay? We cannot stop. This does not stop. Just because it's a ceasefire does not mean that it's over. There's the so-called ceasefire. They're killing people every single day.
Yep.
And I want to remind you something. This is a Palestinian cause, but it is also a Muslim cause.
Yes.
99.9999% of the people in Gaza are Muslim. Yes, they are Muslim. And guess what? We say, when al-Muslimin, when al-Arab. They're asking you, they're asking me. And you know what? It is our duty and our responsibility to protect Jerusalem. And guess what? You have to get involved. If you are having a hard time finding time because you're a mom, you're a dad, you work full time, come talk to me. I will help you. We'll come up with a plan. I'm a single mother of 4. I go to school. I homeschool my kids. Wallahi, I do not have time. We can do this together. Because if we collaboratively work together, we can make this happen. And whatever you think, and you think, and you think, and you think is valuable to us at the Civic Action Committee. So come join us. Thank you so much for coming here. Stay engaged.
So, really quick.
We need to protect any human life.
Hey, that's 100%.
Human life.
Yeah, that's
Not
100%.
just Muslim,
100%.
Any human life.
We live our consciousness and our humanity every day. Alhamdulillah. Brother Amr, maybe we're just going to have him say a few words to kind of end it. And then we want to end with actually a recognition for Brother Anthony for his heroism and courageousness. And then hopefully maybe he'll have a few minutes to hang around and he'll be off to his next. So, Brother Amr.
I think it is definitely a lot of Muslims being killed, but Christians and Jews, everybody in Palestine. It's not just about Muslims. We're asked by God to stand up for truth. And I quote here from the Old Testament, Isaiah 1:17, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the cause of a widow. That's in the Old Testament. You go to the New Testament, Ephesians 6:14. Stand firm then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place. Even in James 2:17, faith by itself, it is not if it's not accompanied by action, it is dead. And in our Quran, subhanallah, Allah says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين لله شهداء بالقسط. O who you believe, be standing firmly for Allah, for justice. And he also says, and this is very important, we talked about our kids, and how our brother Anthony talked about his kids, our kids, your kids. What can you do for them? How can you protect them? And Allah gives us the answer in Surah An-Nisa. And he says, وَلْيَخْشَ الَّذِينَ إِن تَرَكُوا مِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّةً ضِعَافًا خَافُوا عَلَيْهِمْ فَلْيَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَلْيَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. For those who fear for their offspring, for their kids, what's going to happen to my kids? Who's going to oppress them? Who's going to take away their rights? Guess what? Allah gives you the answer. Stand up for the truth in the face of injustice. Be faithful to Allah. Fear Him and do the right thing. Standing up for the truth and standing up for justice is not just an option. It's a duty. It's a Muslim duty. It's a Christian duty. It's a Jewish duty. And we've seen it with all our brothers and sisters from different faiths. We will not let this genocide continue. We feel tired. We feel helpless sometimes, but there's a lot that can be done. Like Brother Adil said, let's start by actually organizing ourselves. Let's get our voice heard. Let's get leaders like Anthony with a great conscience and a great heart to come and talk to us. We know the truth. Let everybody hear the truth from us. Jazakumullah khairan, and thank you so much. And before we go,
Muhammad from OCJP, I forgot to thank him.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Brother
And
Thompson.
I just want to thank Muhammad from OCJP. He was our MC. He did this so last minute. He just did this today, and he's amazing. And if you get an opportunity, please follow OCJP's page on Instagram. They post actions. They're in front of Senator Dave Min's office. They have done amazing, Congressman, sorry. Yeah, I don't know the difference. Thank God you're here. You know what? They have done amazing work, and actually they have some action for us. So we need to get involved. All the activists, honestly, every single one of them, they have so we all work together. So if you guys can follow their page, but thank you so much. Forgive me for forgetting you.
Last but not least, yes, I held this in my hand for that.
Can we also give her a big round of applause?
Yes, please. Honestly, if it wasn't for Sister Taiba, we wouldn't have this event. Let's be real. Actions, boycott, huge action. It does work. They are feeling the pain. They know that we are there. There's nothing more stronger than you. Okay, you cannot run? Okay, fine. Speak up. You cannot speak up? Don't send your money to people who support genocide. Very simple actions. But without further ado, I would like to recognize our brother Anthony with a simple certificate of appreciation of what for his time and his effort coming down here and talking to us and educating us about this truth. Thank you so much, Brother Anthony. Big round of applause, please.
So maybe you want to give it a quick read?
Sure. Man, the handwriting. All right. That's a certificate of appreciation. This certificate is proudly awarded to our brother Anthony Aguilar. This certificate is given to Anthony Aguilar in recognition of his courageous advocacy and man, I don't have my glasses, man. That's when you know you're getting old.
Recognition of his courageous advocacy and unwavering voice for the oppressed. Your service is deeply appreciated by the ICOI community. Thank you, Brother Anthony. You make us proud, and really, you're the best of who's in the uniform, and we appreciate you so much.
Yes.
I just wanted to let everybody know something really quickly. I asked Anthony when I texted him, what's your speaker fee? And I just want to quickly, I just want to read. It'll take only 1 second, and then you guys can go and pray. But I did want to read this to you, and then you guys can go ahead and ask him questions. And whoever needs to go pray, please go pray. And you know what he said to me? Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry. It's my phone, but I swear I have it like right here on WhatsApp because I have everything saved on WhatsApp. Yeah, I know. I you know that I need glasses, don't you? Because you always have glasses for me. Anyways, he did not want to take a gift from us. And when I asked him, he says, speaking fee, ? Absolutely not. A fee to tell people about a genocide? No, never. No gifts, no fees. This is my moral obligation, my duty. That is what he said. So we couldn't really get him a gift. And so thank you so much for accepting this. Next time you come in town, though, you got to come to my house. You got to have, actually, you're going to come to Farida's house and have Persian food. She's a wonderful, wonderful cook. Thank you so much, everybody. And whoever needs to go pray, please go pray. And if you want, I think, Mervet, how many minutes does Anthony have here before he leaves?
10 minutes.
Okay, guys, 9 minutes max. He's got to head down to LA, everyone, okay? Thank you so much. Oh, yeah.